Good morning. I'm gonna take a quick 5-10 minutes of your time, try to get you caught up. Um, I'm here at the NSU headquarters. First, let me give glory and honor to the Lord above, God of all things, beginning and the end, the Alpha, the Omega, and the head and the ruler of all things in my life. I wanted to start this message because I know I kind of fell off as far as making the videos to keep you guys in tune and intact with everything that's going on with NSU. I actually kind of even lost the idea of what I wanted to do. I sat down with a guy um, by the name of Shaggy Snacks, and he's a music engineer, an artist, and a video sound guy. I'm not sure all the titles and the names that you guys would call it, but I came and sat down with him, showed him my videos of what I was trying to do with NSU, and he asked me like, well, what are you trying to channel? What are you trying to deliver? What type of crowd are you trying to actually attract? You know, questions like that. And I had no answer. I just basically wanted to document my life experience and make it into something that made it even more exciting. The thought comes to mind where it's like, I don't want to draw attention to more of my situation and the development of my company, and I don't want to take away business or take away attention from what it's becoming. But let me say that the feeling of it coming together is a lot more enjoyable than the process of what is going on. Realistically, I'm very happy. I get a lot of attention, a lot of questions, a lot of people, coming forth saying that they're interested in what's going on. I have more people who are interested in actually working for the company. I contacted a few construction companies yesterday and got a pretty good response, but of course, it's the response all in beginning stages. So realistically, I'm happy to be exactly where I'm at. It feels like I'm in a brand new business. It feels like I'm in a startup. The only thing that takes away the powerful magic of being a startup business is snapping back to the beginning stages of when I was starting my business. The number one thing that was a concern to me was my paperwork, legitimacy, my solid crews, being able to expand, the structure, and then when it comes down to paperwork, taxes, structure, as far as documentation is concerned, I think, it's almost a time where I would feel like I'm going to get cold feet, but I'm not. It's almost exactly what I expected. Um, Hitting a wall every time, feeling like, damn, here I go again, you know. I gotta make sure I got this. I gotta make sure I'm that. I'm not verified here. I'm not verified there. Oh, but this picks me up. Well, this search engine recognizes me, you know. And one thing that I got out of June, the month of June this month, was I was holding on to the same paperwork for 3 years, and only one of those sheets got me what I needed. And I've been sitting on all three of them. All three of those sheets. To be more specific, to open my bank account, I could have opened my bank account with just my fictitious business name. So I've been walking around with all this paperwork, and every time I went to the bank, which was probably on 4 different accounts, maybe even, I'd say about 4 different accounts. And they always told me that they couldn't give me an account. They always told me I didn't have the right paperwork, or it was always something. But this last time around, this lady said, no, this is the only sheet that I need. You just need an ID and a social. And you don't even need that because you already have an account with us. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, seriously. I'm like, so it took 3 years for y'all to reject me 3 times to tell me that I have all that I need. And now I can get started. So, as the same things come back into progress, I kind of track that too, where when I get back into that mind frame of, oh, you ever listen or to how someone presents themselves or their business to you, and certain things stand out to you that you felt was important to you. Maybe like to me, having a separate phone number versus just your cell phone number was kind of the things that stood out to me. Having a professional email versus just a regular @Gmail was the kind of things that stood out to me. Having a .com domain versus a Wix or a GoDaddy.com domain versus a big cartel domain made a difference to me. Now, at the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference, but those are the kind of things that stood out to me. So those became uncertainties for me, where it eventually became a hesitation to promote myself. It was like an excuse. Like, I have an email, I have a business line, my line is a business line with T-Mobile. You know what I mean? But it was just something that was kind of like hesitant. You know what I mean? Like, nothing's perfect. And once again, the great quote says, in order for you to be great, you have to start. And it's like, I never understood that. Certain things start standing out to me about certain mannerisms or certain ways the conversation when it was almost predictable. You know what I mean? And then it will come to, I have an email, but it doesn't look like @NSU.com. You know what I mean? And eventually it will get there. But I think that was another thing that God was kind of working on me, because I overanalyzed so much as a child. I thought about almost everything as a child. Mannerisms, thoughts, tones, and vibrations, and the way people responded. I was so sensitive to all of these different things that it eventually had corroded my mind to keep from thinking freely or confidently about anything that I was doing. And now it's just like, if what I have is not good enough for you, then it would be good enough for me to move on somewhere else. I don't believe that God wakes me up in the morning and says, I want you to go promote your business word of mouth like back in the day, or, word of mouth, go forget the business cards, forget this, forget that. You know what I mean? And sometimes I also feel like God doesn't want me to promote my business at all. I feel like having regular conversation makes all the difference as well. So I've even avoided talking about things, as far as business wise. I feel like what I do is exactly what I want to do, and that God moves things for us. And that the conversation and the interaction is not always about what you're doing. And it's almost like a sacrifice to me. It's the Sabbath, But I try to be that willing and that considerate person in conversation. I've never liked that about anybody. You know what I mean? That wants to come into conversation and tell you about every single thing that they're doing. I wrote a book. I'm writing a book. I have 3 this, and I'm also a music producer, a writer, and blah, blah, blah. And you put all of that on the table all at one time. And it's just really kind of hard to really connect with you, because I don't want this to be a conversation, a competition. Not saying that that's that person, but I mean that some people are programmed to automatically go with whatever the flow is. And the fact that we have a flow is the reason why this conversation is going the way it's going. So it seems like, of course, everybody either likes music or does music or knows somebody that does music. So, of course, all of these things are going to come into play. But when someone doesn't leave room for the other person to actually express themselves, then the conversation always ends up the same way. This is just my interpretation. I do music, I write, you know. My father is a music producer, my brother is a music producer, my mother is a producer. So when it comes to producing, I'm very well knowledgeable, my creativity, that I'm able to do something. NSU is my production, and I put all of it into it. I put all of my writing into it. I put all of my attention into it. I know how I want it to look, how I want it to sound, how I want it to be, and what I want to see come from it. So, but I'm not going to sit here, introduce myself to a woman and tell her every single stage and phase of it. Eventually, she would be attracted to what I do, because, you know, it's what I do. I want it to stand out, you know. Anyway, as you guys get more familiar with the page, I hope that I'm able to capture a crowd and an eye and an ear for what it is that I want. For you guys to get to know me, I have a friend of mine. You guys may be very familiar with her, you may not. She goes by the name of Tish Corleone. I love that last name. It's like an Italian mobster or some shit. Rudely, I never asked her that. I think that's another thing too, that when it comes down to having curiosity about things, that we should ask. You know what I mean? Give yourself a break and clear your conscience when it comes down to things. Bring your attention to exactly what your mind goes to. It's probably a reason why you're thinking these questions, you know. And I know that we think so much, 60,000 thoughts, and only 2 or 3 of ours. We take advantage of a lot more than we think we do. So like I said, I never asked Tish what her real last name was, or if that was her or not. But anyway, she said that you have to show as much personality as possible, you know, and that's how people are attracted to you. Not seriously, it's, you know, nothing like that. And she didn't elaborate. So anything from this point would pretty much me be exaggerating her statement of your personality is everything. And I have a tremendous silly ass personality. And I feel like that's important. And that statement also relates back to some of the best advice I was ever given as I started my business. It was like, it's not about being professional, it's about being personal. And when it comes to being personal, it's about showing personality. And people don't get offended like you think they do. I think I spend more time trying not to be offended than I do trying not to offend, you know. And it's like, that's the whole fun of it. You know what I'm saying? You want to crush your spirit in a friendly way, of course, you know. Being sporadic and, you know, things like that makes all of the difference when it comes to a conversation, so you can't take things personal. And I think that I would much rather come in and say, hey, than to come in and say, good morning, you know. But the perfect thing about the way that I flow is, when it comes to dealing with my clients and things like that, I want to make sure that not only do I get to know them, but I get to know their wants, their needs when it comes to the services I'm providing, you know, and the conversations that we have. I've been in a lot of different situations with a lot of different clients, dealing with a lot of different situations, you know, that maybe or may not be bothersome to them. And I take pride in my confidentiality with my clients, because I know that they're able to talk to somebody that they know that they can trust, you know, and me being in their homes, I'm able to get them back into a state of feeling like, oh God, thank you, that's off of my chest, literally. I don't have to take care of nothing. I only got to see you so often. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, my house is in order. I cleared and freed my mind. So these conversations within this service that I'm able to provide at the same time is an awesome feeling, because I'm able to relieve stress off of people's backs. And for quite some time now, you guys know that you could talk to me about anything. You know, I'm very personal. It's only so often that I would actually tell anybody that's something I don't want to hear, or that's too personal, that's too much information. I'm not that type of person. Like, I'm really a good listener, and a lot of people ask me for advice that I would never expect them to. And I have to humbly relate all the time. Humbly relate, because half the stuff people come to me about, I wouldn't expect them to. So in retrospect, I always make sure that I dig up something to let them know that I don't have all the answers. He does. And I'm glad you brought that up. Now, let me ask you a question. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, I'm just kind of going over anything I can to kind of be more personal with you guys, to let you know that I really do love what I do. And the type of people that come into my life, or have been coming into my life lately to support me in this, has been tremendously random and outrageous. Like, you know what I mean? The power of God, and, what our minds are put to, and how those things are brought into our reality, has been a major blessing in the strangest forms. And I'm just grateful for how it's going to come together and what it's going to be. And I'm enjoying the process of it all at the same time. I really am. Providing for myself and my family is a given. Providing a good actual job for my employees is a given. Like, something was planted in my spirit to ask every single person for the past few years, are you happy with your job, for a reason? And I don't know what God plans to do with this company, but I think it's going to be very big. I know it's going to be big. And I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm glad to be a messenger and a person of service to my clients, to my coworkers, to my contractors, to my employees. Like, I plan to make sure that that's exactly what it is. To anyone that I partner up with as organizations, anyone that I help just out of the kindness of my heart, anyone that calls on me for any reason, I'm happy to be of service. And hopefully it'll be an entertaining service as far as the social media thing. But we'll see what happens. God is going to do what He's going to do, And I'm just doing what He asked me to do. So I want to thank you for your time and your attention. And I appreciate your support, your love, and your help. And I look forward to you guys tapping in and seeing more of what's to come from NSU and Over the Influence. Alright, so I'm going to let you go. Have a blessed one, y'all. I mean that.